Millions knew Don Knotts as the unforgettable Barney Fife, the comedian who could spark laughter with a single look. But behind the beloved television icon was a devoted father whose final days were marked by quiet courage and family. Years after his passing, his daughter Karen has shared touching memories that reveal the man beyond the fame. What was life really like during Don Knotts' final chapter? Let's uncover the story. Don Knotts' journey to Hollywood was anything but easy. Born in Morgantown, West Virginia, he overcame a difficult childhood before serving in the U.S. Army during World War II. After the war, he pursued acting, eventually becoming one of America's most beloved comedians. His breakthrough came with The Andy Griffith Show, where his portrayal of Barney Fife earned 5 Emmy Awards and secured his place in television history. Later generations embraced him all over again through films like The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, Disney classics, and his role as Ralph Furley on Three's Company. Yet away from the cameras, Don's life was far more complicated. Friends and family have described him as naturally funny, but also surprisingly shy. He openly struggled with anxiety throughout much of his life and often worried about his health. Those personal challenges never stopped him from making others smile, but they did reveal a man very different from the fearless comic characters audiences knew. Perhaps his most treasured role wasn't on television at all. It was being a father. Don had 2 children, Karen and Thomas, from his first marriage. After his divorce, he remained deeply involved in their lives, and Karen has often spoken about how loving and devoted he was at home. Although he initially discouraged her from pursuing show business because he understood how difficult the industry could be, he eventually supported her dreams, and the two even shared the stage together. By the early 2000s, however, Don's health had begun to decline. He faced several medical challenges over the years, including worsening vision problems and other health setbacks. Then came the diagnosis that would change everything: lung cancer. Despite receiving treatment, his condition gradually worsened. On February 24, 2006, Don Knotts passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 81 from pulmonary and respiratory complications related to lung cancer. Family members remained close during his final hours, and longtime friend Andy Griffith visited him shortly before his death. But according to Karen, what happened inside that hospital room wasn't defined only by sadness. Incredibly, even while facing the end of his life, Don was still making the people around him laugh. And that's where the story becomes even more remarkable. As Don Knotts entered the final chapter of his life, the bright lights of Hollywood no longer mattered. The Emmy Awards, the standing ovations, and the unforgettable television roles had already secured his place in entertainment history. But in those final months, the only audience he truly cared about was his family. After being diagnosed with lung cancer, Don underwent treatment while continuing to face each day with the quiet humility that had defined him throughout his life. His condition gradually worsened, yet those closest to him remember a man who never lost his gentle spirit or his unmistakable sense of humor. On February 24, 2006, Don Knotts passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 81 from pulmonary and respiratory complications related to lung cancer. His family remained by his side, and longtime friend Andy Griffith visited him shortly before his passing. A touching farewell between 2 men whose friendship had become one of television's most beloved partnerships. For fans around the world, it marked the end of an era. But for his daughter Karen, it was a deeply personal loss that had nothing to do with Hollywood. Over the years, Karen has shared heartfelt memories of the father she knew away from the cameras. While audiences saw the nervous, lovable Barney Fife, she saw a man who was thoughtful, compassionate, and completely devoted to his children. Fame never changed him. At home, he was simply Dad. Karen has never turned those private moments into dramatic headlines. Instead, her reflections reveal something far more meaningful. A father who valued family over fame and kindness over recognition. Even after becoming one of television's biggest stars, Don remained humble, often surprised that so many people admired his work. Ironically, one of the world's greatest comedians spent much of his life battling anxiety and self-doubt. Yet those struggles never stopped him from bringing joy to millions. Every awkward smile, every perfectly timed pause, and every unforgettable expression came from an actor who understood that the best comedy wasn't about being loud, it was about being genuine. Following his death, tributes poured in from across the entertainment world. Friends and colleagues remembered not only his extraordinary talent, but also his generosity behind the scenes. Many described him as one of the finest character actors and physical comedians television had ever seen. A performer whose influence continues to inspire comedians decades later. Today, Don Knotts' legacy lives on through timeless classics like The Andy Griffith Show, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, The Incredible Mr. Limpet, and Three's Company. New generations continue discovering the same warmth, charm, and brilliant comic timing that made him a household name. But perhaps the greatest legacy isn't found in awards or reruns. It's found in the memories shared by the people who loved him most. Karen's reflections remind us that behind every legendary performer is a human being with fears, dreams, and a family who sees a completely different side of the story. The world remembers Don Knotts as one of television's funniest men. His family remembers a loving father whose greatest gift wasn't making millions of strangers laugh. It was making the people closest to him feel loved. And maybe that's the most powerful part of his story. Long after the cameras stopped rolling, Don Knotts' kindness, humility, and compassion continue to leave a lasting impression, proving that the greatest legacies are built not only through unforgettable performances, but through the lives we touch along the way. What is your favorite Don Knotts role? Share your memories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Legend Discovery for more untold stories about Hollywood's greatest legends. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.